But first, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Nearly 700 homes, 2 hotels are declared unsafe as Joshimath in Uttarakhand begins to sink. Over 80 families evacuated. National Disaster Management Team meet Chief Minister Dhami over the rescue operations. North India shivers as temperatures dip as low as 1.9 degrees. 150 flights, 267 trains delayed due to dense fog. Alert sounded in Punjab, Haryana, UP and Rajasthan. High drama inside the Tamil Nadu Assembly. Governor walks out during Chief Minister Stalin's speech. DMK and allies up in arms over the governor's suggestion to change the state's name. Court orders a stay on satirical book on Congress leader Siddaramaiah, depicting him as Tipu Sultan. Political firestorm rages in poll-bound Karnataka as Chief Minister declares he will fight from Kolar. It's protest versus counter-protest in Delhi over the mayor's appointment. AAP stages a protest outside the Delhi BJP office. BJP lays siege to Chief Minister Kejriwal's residence. On the back of targeted civilian killings, Home Minister Amit Shah to chair meet on security situation in J&K. BJP leaders Kavinder Gupta, Ravinder Raina to attend the meeting in Delhi. Bombay High Court allows interim bail to ex-ICICI CEO Chanda Kochar and husband Deepak Kochar in the Videocon case. The Kochar couple has flagged their arrest as illegal. Massive protests in Brazil as Bolsonaro's protesters stormed the presidential palace and the National Congress in an attempted takeover of parliament. The world condemns the former Brazilian president. On the eve of India's series opener against Sri Lanka, Jasprit Bumrah pulls out of ODIs in a huge U-turn. BCCI names revised squad for the series. But the story we are breaking tonight comes from Uttarakhand, where Joshimath is the center of attention. A total of 678 buildings now and 2 hotels have been identified as unsafe in a first phase of survey that has been undertaken after cracks developed in several parts of the hill town. 81 families have been displaced so far. Representatives of the Jyotirmath have met Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami. The Chief Minister has spoken to the head seer Shankaracharya on the phone. The Shankaracharya has asked the Chief Minister to prepare and improve the administration to ensure that all the citizens are safe as concerns mount over sinking areas and cracks emerging in several construction in the region. Now remember, as I said, Joshimath is resembling at the moment in parts a zone hit by an earthquake. At least 68 families have already been relocated to the relief camps and shelters over the past 3 days. Experts are blaming what they call unregulated construction for the grave crisis. Angry residents claim that their warnings were ignored. Both the centre and the state government are now on high alert. India Today's Amit Bhardwaj has tonight's top story.
On the verge of collapse. A sinking gateway to pilgrimage in Uttarakhand. Cracks in homes and in buildings popular with the faithful bound to Badrinath. Residents being evacuated in the freezing cold. A town of at least 25,000 people, Joshimath breaks down in a Himalayan ecosystem rendered fragile by rampant development.
आज जब घर ही चला गया है तो मंदिर भी डूब गया है। हम बस ये चाहते हैं कि बस हमें जल्द से जल्द हमें सुरक्षित पहुंचाए। बस सरकार से यही विनती है कि हमारी भी आवाज सुने आगे।
For its impoverished residents, it's an imminent catastrophe.
collapse of the temple that they have been worshipping at for generations has completely broken the courage and morale of people like Lakshmi Devi. She's crying and pleading to the state government that they should be given a safer location to live in with proper facilities, because the cold out here, the winter out here, it's chilling and the temperature dips sometimes even in the minus degrees late in the night.
This is Chhavni Bazaar, an area housing security paraphernalia for Joshimath. Now resembles a zone devastated by a powerful earthquake. The walls, pillars and foundations of its buildings wrecked by subsidence.
Protests are erupting in Joshimath. This is the Chhavni area of Joshimath, where you could see women are sitting on the road and they have blocked the traffic. This is the most important route as far as the Badrinath shrine is concerned, and the passage to several establishments of the paramilitary forces are concerned. But these women are angry. They are saying that first the government didn't listen to their warnings and now their houses are being sealed.
At least 68 families have been relocated so far to relief camps and shelters like these over the past 3 days.
हमारे तो आए दिन जितनी भी हमारी सुबह हो रही है यहाँ पे हमें मुश्किल हो।
Anjali Rawat's multi-story house suffered damage beyond repair, tilted beyond salvage. The Rawat family has been moved to a one-room setup at a municipal camp.
बाकी इतने दिन से मौत होने का कोई प्रॉब्लम है, यहाँ पानी नहीं आता है।
हम सब लोगों से यही कह रहे हैं कि हमारे घर की व्यवस्था कर लो सबसे पहले, और हमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए। कई लोग हैं कि राशन लेके आ रहे हैं, कंबल लेके आ रहे हैं, पर हम उसका क्या करेंगे जब हमारे पास किचन ही नहीं है, तो रहने की जगह ही नहीं है, तो उन कंबलों का हम क्या करेंगे। हमारे घर में रहते हम तो हीटर लगाया रहता था, हमने अपनी पूरी व्यवस्था है हमारे घर में जो अपने घर की व्यवस्था होती है।
More than 603 buildings have developed cracks in Joshimath. Experts blame what they call unregulated construction and administrative oversight for the grave crisis.
इतना ज्यादा प्रेशर एक ऐसी जगह पे जहां पर कि जो ऑलरेडी एक लैंडस्लाइड पे बैठी हुई जगह है, वहां पे आप जो है ये सब होने दे रहे हैं। जो भी वैज्ञानिकों ने अपनी संस्तुतियां दी, क्या सरकार ने ईमानदारी से उनको जो है लागू किया है? मुझे तो नहीं लगता।
A limit to which mountains could be burdened. Joshimath bears the testimony to how the tectonically alive Himalayas could have been dangerously exposed to unscientific activity. With Amit Bharadwaj, Bureau Report, India Today.
And our first guest tonight on the news today is the Uttarakhand Chief Minister, पुष्कर धामी, who we spoke to a short while ago. धामी जी, ये बताइए ताज़ा सिचुएशन क्या है जोशीमठ में, जोशीमठ की ताज़ा हालात पर आप हमें क्या बता सकते हैं? हमें ऐसी जानकारी मिल रही कि कई लोगों को आप अब वहां से निकालकर अन्य जगहों में लेकर जा रहे हैं।
देखिए, अभी हम लोग तात्कालिक रूप से जो लोग उस खतरे की जद में आए हैं या जो प्रभावित हैं, ऐसे व्यावसायिक प्रतिष्ठान हैं, मकान हैं, सब मिलाकर लगभग 678 हैं, और जो 81 परिवार हैं वो ज़्यादा प्रभावित हैं। उन सभी को सरकारी गेस्ट हाउस, होटलों इत्यादि में हमने अभी शिफ्ट किया है। अभी एनडीएमए के साथ, एसडीएमए के साथ अभी हमारी बैठक हुई है, और हम दीर्घकालिक जो योजना है, दीर्घकालिक जो पुनर्वास होना है, उसके लिए हम लोगों ने अभी चर्चा की है। जल्दी ही हम निष्कर्ष पर पहुंचेंगे कि आखिर ये पानी का जो रिसाव हो रहा है वो किस कारण से हो रहा है, कहां से हो रहा है, और आगे कितना प्रभावित होने वाला क्षेत्र है, और जो नया क्षेत्र है उसका सारा भूवैज्ञानिकों से सारा सर्वेक्षण कराने के बाद हम पुनर्वास की कार्रवाई को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। और इसमें भारत सरकार का, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का लगातार व्यक्तिगत रूप से वो इस पर पूरी निगरानी कर रहे हैं, पूरा व्यक्तिगत रूप से उसको देख रहे हैं। कल भी उन्होंने सारी जानकारियां ली हैं, और हर संभव हमको सहायता का आश्वासन दिया है, मदद का भरोसा दिया है, सहायता करने का उन्होंने कहा है कि हर प्रकार की सहायता की जाएगी। और राज्य सरकार पूरी तरह से लगातार इसकी मॉनिटरिंग कर रही है। मैं भी स्वयं मॉनिटरिंग कर रहा हूँ। आज भी हमारे सारे लोग वहाँ पर लगे हुए हैं, सारे अधिकारीगण लगे हुए हैं, सारे हमारे जनप्रतिनिधिगण लगे हैं। और हम
पर यह कहा जा रहा है कि कांग्रेस का डिमांड है कि इसको नेशनल डिजास्टर अब घोषित किया जाए। क्या आप इस डिमांड को मान शुड जोशीमठ सिचुएशन बी कॉल्ड अ नेशनल डिजास्टर? मिस्टर चीफ मिनिस्टर, क्या ऐसी नौबत आ गई है? इज दिस अ नेशनल डिजास्टर? क्या आप मानते हैं?
संसाधनों की कोई ऐसी कमी नहीं है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और पूरे केंद्र की सरकार ने हमको हर प्रकार से सहायता का भरोसा दिया है और सहायता कर रहे हैं। सारी टीमें यहाँ पर आ गई हैं, सब अपने सर्वेक्षण के काम में लग गई हैं। तो इसलिए संसाधनों की कोई कमी नहीं होने वाली। इस समय सबको मिलकर एक दिशा में चलना है कि जोशीमठ को बचाना है, जोशीमठ के लोगों को बचाना है।
सर, आप कह रहे हैं एवरीबॉडी हैज टू मूव इन द सेम डायरेक्शन, बट बीजेपी ओन लीडर उमा भारती कह रही है कि जो पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स आपने वहां बनाए हैं, बड़े बड़े पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स, दे वर डन विदाउट लुकिंग एट एनवायरमेंटल डैमेज, कि इसी वजह से ये डिजास्टर हो रहा है। क्या आप इन पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स पर रोक लगाएंगे जब तक ये सिचुएशन संभलती नहीं है?
देखिए, मैंने कहा कि जब तक हमारे सभी सर्वेक्षण नहीं हो जाते हैं, सभी अनुसंधान नहीं हो जाते हैं, सारी एजेंसियां यहाँ पर काम कर रही हैं, सारे संस्थान काम कर रहे हैं, जो पर्यावरण के क्षेत्र में भूगर्भ वैज्ञानिक जो काम कर रहे हैं, उन सब की रिपोर्ट आएगी। और उस रिपोर्ट के आधार पर अगर जहां पर भी और इस प्रकार की चीज आएगी तो निश्चित रूप से हम लोग उस पर आगे बढ़ेंगे। हमारी प्राथमिकता है राज्य को बचाना, राज्य के लोगों को बचाना। और राज्य सरकार की तरफ से हम स्वयं भी एक इनिशिएटिव ले रहे हैं कि जितने भी शहर हमारे इस प्रकार की स्थिति पर है, उन सभी का एक हम लोग सर्वेक्षण करेंगे और उनकी धारण क्षमता, उनकी कितनी धारण क्षमता है, कितना वो वेट सहन कर सकते हैं, उसका आकलन करेंगे। और जहां भी अगर ये ओवर हो गया है तो उस पर निश्चित रूप से आगे कार्रवाई करेंगे।
Mr. Chief Minister, Congress leader Harish Rawat, former CM, is saying that entire Joshimath population needs to be rehabilitated somewhere else. क्या पूरे जोशीमठ के लोगों को दूसरे लोकेशन में लिया जाएगा? क्या इसकी कोई तैयारी अब चल रही है?
हाँ, कुछ जगह हमने चिन्हित की है, पीपल कोटी और गोचर के आसपास, और उसका भी अभी भूवैज्ञानिक सर्वेक्षण कर रहे हैं। और करने के बाद अगर वो जगह उपयुक्त पाई जाती है तो वहां पर हम इस प्रकार के पुनर्वास की कार्रवाई को आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
एक आखिरी सवाल, एक सवाल उठ रहा है तैयारी का। नाउ वी हैव सीन द डैमेज, बट हाउ प्रिपेयर्ड वाज द गवर्नमेंट? क्या स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कितना तैयार थी, है, कितना वक्त लगेगा? क्या खास करके जो वल्नरेबल लोग हैं उनको सेफ जोन में ले जाने के लिए?
देखिए, हमारी पहली प्राथमिकता है कि सभी को सुरक्षित करना, सभी की जान माल की सुरक्षा करना, लोगों को राहत देना, लोगों को इस समय में सहायता देना, ये हमारी प्राथमिकता है। हम भगवान नरसिंह देव से, बद्रीनाथ जी से प्रार्थना करेंगे कि भगवान जो है बद्रीनाथ हमारे जो है जोशीमठ की रक्षा करें, हमारे सब पर अपनी कृपा करें। और जो भी जरूरी है वो सब हम लोग करेंगे। उसको जो है एक्शन मोड में है, और विशेष रूप से हम अपना मंत्रिमंडल को भी बुलाएंगे। उसमें भी जो प्रावधान करने होंगे, जिसमें शिथिलीकरण करना होगा, लोगों की सहायता के लिए हर संभव प्रयास करेंगे। उसमें मैं सभी से अनुरोध करता हूं कि सभी लोग इस पर आगे आए। और ये समय अनावश्यक रूप से समस्या बनने का नहीं है, बल्कि समस्या के समाधान का है। तो सभी लोग आगे आएंगे तो निश्चित रूप से जोशीमठ उभरेगा, जोशीमठ के लोग उभरेंगे, हमारा एक पौराणिक शहर बचेगा, सबकी जान माल की सुरक्षा होगी। और फिर से जो है, जो पहले जैसा जोशीमठ था उसी प्रकार का जोशीमठ फिर से आगे बढ़ेगा।
That was Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami speaking to us a short while ago. Let's raise the big questions from that interview which follow, because why is Joshimath sinking? Is this a man-made disaster? How can we save Joshimath? Is the impact survey for all big projects now needed across the Himalayan range? How does one therefore avoid a bigger tragedy in this eco-sensitive area? Joining me now, our special guests. I'm joined at this moment by Dr. Anjal Prakash, Research Director, Bharati Institute of Public Policy. He's been tracking this issue for a very long time. Dr. Kalachand Sen is Director, Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology. Thank you both very much for joining us. First to you, Dr. Anjal Prakash, can you tell us, in your view, is this a man-made disaster? Do you believe that it is a failure of the administration to, in a way, anticipate this could happen because of construction projects taking place in an eco-sensitive zone?
Yeah, thank you, Rajdeep, for having me on the show. This is absolutely a man-made disaster. There's no two words about it. And I'll tell you, I've been part of a couple of reports, scientific report. First, there's a special report on oceans and cryosphere, IPCC report, which was published in 2019. Then came the High Map report, which is a mini assessment of Himalayas as part of EC mode. That report has come in 2020. Then 2022 IPCC report. I've been part of the mountain chapter of the report. All these reports unequivocally said that this is a region which is very fragile in nature. It is very sensitive. It's a seismic zone. Think before you do any grave activity, especially the infrastructure development project that we have. One of the project, the hydropower project, has been questioned from the time immemorial. We have been telling this to the government. The science is out there, but that science doesn't lead to policy making process. I think the politicians must listen to the science out there. Otherwise, the havoc as we see today is going to happen. And then this is not only about Joshimath. You also see that similar projects are operational all across Uttarakhand. You have Himachal Pradesh in the eastern Himalayan region. There are a couple of other states like Arunachal Pradesh in Sikkim. So similar development process is happening. So we have many more Joshimath which will be coming in the way of time, and that's exactly what we have been warning from time immemorial.
You're saying warning. You're saying warning from time immemorial. Are you saying that even when this project was conceptualized, the NTPC project, the hydropower project, which is at the center of a lot of the attention, you had warned the government then of the consequences? Is that what you're saying, that there was a warning even before the project was embarked upon?
There has been numerous study, Rajdeep, which has been there right from last 50 years. And there's been Mishra Committee report which has been talked about. After that, there has been numerous scientific studies which is saying that this entire region, and not only Joshimath, but the entire region actually is sitting on a very sensitive environment. Think before you plan anything. And definitely about the hydropower projects, the way these projects are planned, there's a huge rent-seeking, which is involved in this whole process. And that's why even after warning from the environmentalists, from the scientific community, the policymakers do not listen to us. And that's exactly the problem is. And I think Joshimath is happening as a point of history where we must take very drastic, transformative, approach in terms of the shift that we want to make. In looking at how the Himalayas will be saved. If we don't wake up now, there will be no tomorrow.
I want to bring in Dr. Kalachand Sen, your director, Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology. Do you also agree that this is a man-made disaster, and what is happening in Joshimath could happen tomorrow across this Himalayan belt, which is very eco-sensitive?
First of all, I thank you for having me in your channel. I'll just come to second part. You are asking that whether similar situation are happening elsewhere into the entire Himalayan region. So my answer to this question is that the Joshimath has got a special attention. It has been gateway to the entire Himalayan region, whether people go for Badrinath or Hemkund Sahib Shrine, people go for some sort of tourist spot, they have into the Oli, and people also go for trekking. People also having a beautiful landscape for that UNESCO identified heritage site. So there are a lot of tourists, lot of pilgrimage, lot of people as a trekker, they halt at Joshimath, and they because of that there have been some sort of for that economic purpose, some people have constructed hotel, restaurant, and all sort of things have come in a haphazard way. So this is the main question is coming, that city has not built in a scientific manner, that encroachment has taken place, as well as the natural flow of water has been obstructed, and they are getting bypassed, finding new path, and creating some sort of cracks in the walls and the floors.
So you're saying it is the encroachments, it is the unplanned planning, the haphazard planning in places like Joshimath, which is primarily responsible, especially the way you disagree with that. You're shaking your head let me just bring in Dr. Prakash. Dr. Prakash, you don't agree with Dr. Sen when he says that Joshimath itself, as a tourist center, has been a victim of haphazard planning.
No, that is, No, that is definitely there. The haphazard planning, the way in which not only this town, but there are numerous other towns has been, there's no planning. In fact, I've done a study a couple of years before. We looked at the entire urban planning process in the Himalayan towns across the 4 countries, including Pakistan, India, Nepal and Bangladesh. And we found that the similar way in which this is happening. So this is not only about India doing this to our own towns, but it's all across. And that's the major issue, is that the urban planning process has been very, there's no planning at all, and that's exactly the problem. But I also want to say, slightly differ from my other speaker here, is that as we are speaking, there are 12 projects already in the making. The hydropower projects must have to be reevaluated. About 6,000 megawatt project has been in the planning process as we are talking now. So Joshimath, we have not taken any what I would say the lessons from what problems that people are facing. See, you have to understand the core of the problems in Joshimath. You have seen why is Joshimath shaking at this moment. That's because the tunneling process and the water which has been fractured in the whole process. So let's not have any digress this matter to say that the town planning process, that is definitely there, but
you're saying it's only one of the factors.
The problem is the hydropower project.
Okay, you're saying the hydropower projects are the core of the problem because of the sheer size. Let me stop you for a moment, because Akshita Nandgopal, our correspondent, has looked at this entire issue and gives you a sense of why is Joshimath sinking. Take a look.
Located at a height of 6,000 feet, the winter seat of Lord Badri, Joshimath is a well-known tourist destination. Joshimath is a town in the Garhwal Himalayas and an important way station of both the pilgrim and trekking circuits. It's also of huge strategic importance to the Indian Army. But why is Joshimath sinking? Is over-exploitation for real? In the past few decades, the hill town has seen an explosion in population. There's been rampant growth in construction activities as well. Now, the geography of this town does set it apart. For a fact, Joshimath was built on an ancient landslide site, which results in its low bearing capacity. The Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, in its 1976 report, said that the perennial streams, appreciable snow in the upper reaches and highly weathered gneissic rock made the area highly vulnerable to sinking, what we're seeing today. The impact of extreme rainfall has led to the expansion also of mountain streams and their channels, and has changed their course, which has eventually induced more instability to this very, very fragile belt. Joshimath is a seismic zone, an area essentially that's prone to earthquakes, which adds to the new title, the sinking town. New development projects are also taking a clear toll. Projects such as the Helang Marwari bypass have brought the town under the impact of also tectonic activities. Despite the sensitivity of the area, major hydroelectric projects have also been sanctioned. There are many questions also over the NTPC hydropower project. Under this project, 2 tunnels are being dug. One is being dug from Tapovan and the other from Selang. Experts say that the blasts for this construction done for the projects and the seepage due to the constant tunneling work could actually have an impact. It could be responsible for the cracks that you see currently in several homes. And to a large extent, experts say this is the issue. There have been massive protests also against the NTPC hydropower project. Joshimath is on the brink with dangerous cracks widening now in several people's homes. Almost 600 families have to be evacuated, and that too on an urgent basis. Unplanned developmental activities without due regard to bearing capacity have contributed to aggravating the slope instability issues in Joshimath. And this isn't the first time Uttarakhand has actually seen these disasters. We're talking about massive flash floods, which you well know about, forest fires, avalanches, landslides, and completely unpredictable weather. The question that remains currently, looking at the situation in Joshimath, who's responsible for what's happening right now? Was a comprehensive study actually done before sanctioning some of these projects like the hydropower project? And why were these red flags ignored for so long till it's become such a dire situation, forcing families now to leave?
The beautiful but sinking town of Joshimath. Dr. Sen, give us a solution. The government is at the moment now ensuring, they say, the rehabilitation of all those who are in the affected areas, or at least resettling them for now. Rehabilitation will hopefully come later. But what is the solution? If you were to advise the government, what would you tell them to do?
At the present scenario, what the government has been doing, evacuation and abandoning the tract houses are fine. But there is a short term and mid term we have to look into. And for that, even all the construction activities, even including the power projects, are stopped. Have to be stopped at this moment, because we know that city has been built over a fragile bedrock. They do not have much strength to withstand the load from the top. So
are you saying stop all construction projects only for now till a proper survey is done, or stop it forever? That are you saying that there must come a time that Joshimath cannot take any more construction?
So I think right now we have to do this job, and we have to assess this entire Joshimath area from geoscientific point of view and see whether it can sustain some sort of further load, replanning of the city.
But should that not have been done before, Dr. Sen? Don't you think the government should have done an impact survey before, not after?
I fully agree that this should have been taken care. 1976 report long back. And there has been some sort of negligence, I'll also call on that, because when scientifically it has been assessed and given this has fragility and no heavy building should be constructed and no road constructions, but this could have been done with limited, and whatever report says, whenever there is a sanction, I think we do not also monitor that how they are doing their job scientifically. Simply they are blasting, or they are doing some scientific way by which we will be able to do that. So
you're saying there should have been a scientific survey, an impact survey before the construction began, Dr. Prakash? What is your...
That has been done.
Yes, but now you've got a situation where they are saying they will have an impact assessment of these projects before they now go ahead with it. Am I correct?
Now we have to look into the bearing capacity of the foundation rock, whether they can sustain that huge load coming from the top.
Okay, let me get you in, Dr. Prakash, a final word. What would your advice be to the government of India at the moment?
I'll say three things. First is definitely that evacuate those people from the very high risk areas. I think we have seen the images of people losing their land, losing their houses, and they need to be there in the safe place. This is a harsh winter is going to start now, as well as so have a respectable place for them, so that they can shift out from this high risk area. That's number one. Number two is all the infrastructure project, including the hydropower projects, must be stopped, not only in Joshimath but entire region, and they need to reevaluate. Imagine the projects were planned decades before or 2 decades before. That time the climate change has not stricken as we are seeing now. Uttarakhand is facing huge climate disasters. You see in the last couple of years that 25 such incidents have been recorded already. So this is under extreme pressure. The state is under extreme pressure. They have to reevaluate and see whether these projects are feasible or not. Whatever money has been put in, fine, but you don't spend more money, because otherwise you'll be wasting that one. The third part is, which is important, the larger question is we don't want many more Joshimaths to come, and that means the science should direct the policies, not the politics, right? So here I see that listen to scientists, listen to people like us. Researchers have been telling us loud and clear voices. Please listen to them and induct them into a policy making. Induct them into when you're planning such projects. It's going to be otherwise very, very difficult. The one more point I'll tell you from my own experience walking in the Himalayan region. I've seen that the people's voices have never been coming into this large-scale projects. So if you talk to any person locally, they will tell you that these projects are not helping them personally, and still government goes off and execute this project. That must stop, and listen to more and more people. Listen to your people, the last worker on the ground.
Right.
That is what going to give you much more voice and understanding whether these projects are needed or not.
Okay, let's leave it there. Clearly, both of you are offering suggestions with hopefully the government is listening. Often, these major projects are undertaken without listening to local communities. And maybe that needs to change, and change now if the Himalayan eco-sensitive zone has to be protected. Joshimath is a pointer, in a sense, to what lies ahead. Thank you both very much for joining me here on my top talking point. Let me also bring you an update. And all of this is happening even as across North India, there is a biting cold winter that seems to get worse. Let's give you a quick update on those cold wave conditions. It may look heavenly in Kashmir, but with a blanket of snow and fresh snowfall, temperatures have dropped right across North India. Severe fog and intense cold wave has gripped the national capital. Temperatures have fallen to a record 1.9 degrees Celsius. The IMD says the cold wave is expected to abate only by tomorrow. Meanwhile, foul air has returned to haunt residents in the national capital. A Met Office saying a double whammy of declining air quality and ongoing severe cold wave will add to the woe of citizens. Over 265 trains, meanwhile, across North India have been affected by the dense fog. And daily life has come to a grinding halt in UP's Lucknow, which witnessed zero visibility because of the blinding fog through much of the day. Let's turn to our other talking point tonight, because tonight we saw a political conflict rarely seen in Tamil Nadu. The assembly session began with the governor and the MK Stalin government virtually locked in a tug of war. The face-off hit a low, with the governor staging an unprecedented walkout of the state assembly while the chief minister MK Stalin was speaking. The showdown after the governor suggested that the state's name should be changed. The government and the Congress are up in arms. Take a look.
Turbulent scenes in Tamil Nadu Assembly as the Tamilagam war escalates. This was the moment when Tamil Nadu Governor R.N. Ravi got up and walked out while Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was speaking. Stalin, visibly amused, smiled on as the governor walked out. So what prompted these unprecedented scenes? It all started with the governor's customary address, in which he skipped crucial words that were mentioned in the speech that's given by the government. Words like Dravidian model, peaceful Tamil Nadu, the names of Periyar, Ambedkar and Anna. This prompted allies of the DMK to boycott the speech and stage a walkout. Chief Minister Stalin then retaliated. During his speech, he expressed his anguish over the governor choosing to skip parts of his speech. And then the governor chose to get up and walk out while the chief minister was still speaking. This showdown between the governor and the government has triggered a war of words outside the assembly as well.
அந்த அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தை உருவாக்கிய அம்பேத்கர் பெயரே அவர் உச்சரிக்கலை அப்படிங்கிறது எவ்வளவு வேதனையான விஷயம்னு பார்த்துடுங்க. இப்படி பல விஷயங்களை அவர் திராவிட மாடல் அப்படிங்கிறத அவங்களால ஏற்றுக்கொள்ள முடியல.
Here the state government or their alliance parties, they are thinking that whatever their ideological orientation, and they are expecting that the governor has to address, not even in the assembly and also in the outside assembly. This is not appropriate for any political parties to expect that.
While the governor and chief minister have squared off several times, it's never been as ugly as this. And what's perhaps prompted this very public showdown is the recent comment by Governor Ravi, where he rued the renaming of Tamil Nadu.
Unfortunately, in Tamil Nadu, there has been a regressive politics. Regressive politics that we are Dravidian. We have nothing to do with this, and we have been just by virtue of constitution and all, we have been brought together. In fact, Tamil Nadu is the one place, let us say Tamilagam is more appropriate.
On the first day of Tamil Nadu Assembly 2023, it was absolute chaos and mayhem. The governor deciding to omit parts of his speech was unprecedented. The chief minister getting up and expressing his unhappiness inside the assembly was unprecedented. And the chief minister moving a resolution to expunge whatever the governor has said, which was not part of the speech, is also unprecedented, which now raises the question whether the governor R.N. Ravi and Chief Minister M.K. Stalin have reached a boiling point and what would be the next step of the governor of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Daniel, Pramod Madhav for India Today.
So is the governor of Tamil Nadu now overstepping? Are we heading for another confrontation, this time in Tamil Nadu, a constitutional breakdown? Joining me now, Vinod Selvam, is State Secretary, BJP Tamil Nadu, A. Sarvanan, DMK spokesperson. Appreciate your joining us. Mr. Sarvanan, are we heading for a constitutional crisis in your view? Is this heading towards that direction? Governor versus Chief Minister, can they not talk to each other?
Yeah, see, that is the idea of the BJP, to create a constitutional crisis, because Tamil Nadu is a better performing state and the Chief Minister is much beloved in the state and he is the bulwark of the opposition against the BJP. So this is irking the BJP, and that is why they are using the office of the governor to scuttle the smooth functioning and effective functioning of the state government. It is unprecedented. This has never happened in the history of the state of Tamil Nadu, that a governor is omitting to read what the state government had given. He has forgotten his constitutional obligations. Earlier, he kicked up a controversy that it is inappropriate to use the word Tamil Nadu. That is there in the constitution. That is the constitutional name. And this is how the governor is behaving.
Let me bring in Vinod Selvam. These are very serious accusations that have been made, that the governor is acting on behest of the BJP to undermine the state government. He even wants the name of the state to be changed. He wants to edit the speech, which he is not allowed to under the rules. Here is the governor. In no other state assembly will a governor edit out a speech and remove the word of the state which he is the governor of.
Rajdeep. Mr. Rajdeep, we need to understand one thing. The governor is the governor and not the spokesperson of the DMK. He is not in the assembly to read out a word of praise to the chief minister and lie about things which has not been happening in the state. You cannot expect him to come out and say Tamil Nadu is being a land of peace and prosperity, when we know that there have been at least 25 petrol bombs hurled ever since the PFI has been banned, or even latest, like last week, even your television channel had played a video of a lady police officer being heckled and harassed by DMK men. So when the situation is so bad, but under
the rules, I've checked the rules. Under the rules, the governor is not entitled to read out his own speech in the assembly.
Under the rules, Sir, under the rule, there is no obligation that he has to verbatim read out what the government is giving. The government, if it gives a government's report, it's fine. But then when you're giving a report, you want the governor to speak like a DMK spokesperson, like a DMK man. And he is not willing to do that. See, the BJP has been
Do you approve of him, Mr. Vinod Selvam?
To become governors
Sir,
of
do you approve, Mr. Vinod Selvam, of the governor saying, I don't want the word Tamil Nadu to be used? Do you approve of him saying that I don't approve of the word Tamil Nadu to be used? Do you approve that he wants the name of your state to be changed?
He never said that. There's a difference. There is a difference. If you look at Tamil literature, if you look at Tamil literature, both the words Tamil Nadu and Tamilagam have been repeated several times. And the governor never said not use the word Tamil Nadu. He said it will be nice if you use the word Tamilagam. There's always difference. If you want, take the suggestion. If you don't want, don't take the suggestion. It was a mere suggestion made by the governor. But today, the DMK, using its diversional tactics, wants to make an issue out of everything. When the governor was reading out what the state government had given, why did the opposition parties, especially the alliance parties of DMK, create a ruckus in the assembly today? So was it a ruckus against the state government or was it a ruckus against the governor?
But
this was all an orchestrated plan.
The fact
it was orchestrated by the DMK and
why is it that in state after state, that BJP appointed governors are now in a tug of war with the elected state government. In Delhi, it's your Lieutenant Governor with Arvind Kejriwal. In Kerala, it's Arif Mohammad Khan versus Pinarayi Vijayan. We've seen it in Telangana, Tamil Sai Soundaram versus KCR. We've seen it with Jagdeep Dhankar in Bengal with Mamata Banerjee. Are you using the governor's office to undermine a state chief minister?
Sir, the case of Sri Jagdeep Dhankar is a very clear-cut example as to how this is just, a ploy by the state governments, especially opposition parties, because they are in a position where they cannot blame the central government on issues. So they've started to pick on the governors of the states. Now, Ms. Mamata Banerjee was the first person to come out and give her support to the vice presidential candidate when Sri Dhankar was being nominated as the NDA candidate. She was the first person to come and say, we will voice our support.
No, she did not.
So
she stayed neutral. She stayed neutral. Let me give a ploy. Okay, you're saying it's a ploy. By the way, she did not support Mr. Dhankar. She stayed neutral. But I want to bring you in, Mr. Saravanan. The fact is, there needs to be a clear division of powers. The governor is entitled under the constitution to send messages to the state. No, he is entitled to send messages to the state government if he believes that the state government is acting in an unconstitutional manner. Now, the DMK government seems to believe that the governor is an agent of the centre and you are unwilling to work with him. There needs to be an attempt made to at least bridge the trust deficit. Why doesn't the chief minister go and try and reach out to the governor and resolve this?
Yeah. See, Rajdeep, it is not as if the chief minister has not extended an olive branch earlier. He was very courteous to the governor. But did the governor return the favor? Not at all. And look at the way the RSS-trained politicians are speaking, making a mockery of the constitution. He says the governor is not expected to speak like a spokesperson of the DMK party. Sir, respectfully, the constitution says the governor does not have any other obligation. He has to read out. It is not the report, it is not the manifesto of the DMK party. It is the report, the address of the elected state government, which is reflecting the will of the people. This is how they throw away the will of the people. They have scant respect. These RSS-trained politicians have scant respect for the will of the people. It is their way or nothing else. This is how they operate. And when you are also speaking about the messages sent by the governor under Article 175, the Supreme Court is very, very clear. It has made it very clear. It is circumscribed by Article 163. Aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. The governor is a mere puppet, is a mere post office, is a rubber stamp in the constitutional scheme of things.
Those are words also which are, you don't need to call him a rubber stamp because that is again
in the constitutional scheme of things.
Okay,
in the constitutional scheme of things. Just a moment.
Mr. Rajdeep.
Let me finish.
I want to remind my good friend Saravanan.
Let him complete. He did not interfere with you. We don't let him complete.
Yeah. So the problem here is this with this governor. He wants to propagate Sanatana Dharma. Let him propagate. Resign the governor's post. Don't preach us from the pulpit of the governor's office. Resign your post. Join the BJP as a spokesperson, as a RSS, as a Karyakarta. Do your duty. The problem here is this. He thinks if he does the same thing as the vice president, probably he'll get the post as the president of India. That is why, that is how they're showing their loyalty. This is how the RSS is rewarding its true disciples.
Okay,
He's putting a spokes on the wheels of the functioning of the government.
Vinod, the fact is, this is a governor who sat over 20 bills, refused to give them assent for months on end. This is a governor who is refusing to read out the speech that is given by the state government, which across the country is the practice followed. This is a governor who wants the name of the state which he is part of to be changed. Why should such a person be governor if he is going to back for the BJP? All that the governor seems to be doing at the moment in Tamil Nadu is batting for the BJP, and this is happening in state after state. You are brazenly misusing Raj Bhavan to target opposition-ruled states.
Okay, so before I get to your question, I would like to remind Mr. Saravanan that this is the same governor to whom the current chief minister, when he was the leader of opposition, tore his shirt and went to the governor pleading for mercy. He is the same governor he kept going to asking for different favors. It's the same governor he kept going to and asking for things against the ADMK government when they were in power. So that time they didn't realize he was a rubber stamp. That time they didn't feel he was a postman. The same governor's office, they kept knocking on the door over and over and over again. So today when they are in power, a governor has been pinpointing your mistakes. politics. Today you give a notice being given to him and you ask him to lie in the assembly. He is not willing to lie. You want him to say that the entire fishermen who have been arrested by the Sri Lankan government were released purely by the efforts of the state government, which is not true. Anyone with the basic sense will know the amount of effort the central government, the External Affairs Ministry has to put to bring back our fishermen, to bring back our Indian fishermen back to our mainland. But then you want the governor to go out and read a DMK manifesto, just an ode of praise to the government.
You're saying that the DMK wants the governor to be a DMK.
To read a ode of praise.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Both of you seem to have very different views on the road.
Okay, within the framework where he doesn't have to lie.
Okay, time out. Clearly, at the moment, this is an unseemly war of words taking place in Tamil Nadu. The last thing you want, and it's happening in several states, as I said, where Raj Bhavans are tilting against elected state governments. Remember, when the BJP was in the opposition, they would accuse the Congress of doing that. Now they seem to be even more brazen in misusing Raj Bhavans in the country. Let's turn from there to a constitutional crisis taking place not in India, but externally. The top international story today comes from Brazil, which witnessed a massive attack on its institutions when pro-Bolsonaro crowd invaded the presidential palace. The Supreme Court and Congress created a ruckus and vandalized the institutions. The former president's loyalists are targeting the Lula government, but are also incurring the wrath of the world.
Dramatic scenes from Brazil's capital, where thousands stormed the country's seats of government on Sunday. Supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro smashed their way into the Supreme Court, Congress and the presidential palace. Crowds of people wrapped in Brazilian flags were seen breaking windows and flooding parts of Congress with a sprinkler system. One official showed the extent of the damage done to his office in the presidential palace. The scenes were a grim echo of the attack on the US Capitol 2 years ago by fans of former President Donald Trump. Many of Bolsonaro's supporters dispute the result of October's election, where he was defeated by Lula da Silva. It's been over a week since the left-wing leader was inaugurated. On Sunday, he vowed to punish those responsible for the riot. He also blamed Bolsonaro for peddling the false claim that Brazil's electronic voting system was prone to fraud, spawning a violent movement of election deniers.
Like true vandals destroying what they found in front of them. We think there was a lack of security, and I wanted to tell you that all those people who did this will be found and punished. They will realize that democracy guarantees the right to freedom and free speech, but it also demands that people respect the institutions created to strengthen democracy.
Some 3 hours after initial reports of the invasion, security forces had managed to retake the capital's most iconic 3 buildings. Lula announced a federal security intervention in the capital, lasting until the end of the month. Bolsonaro was silent for nearly 6 hours about the chaos, before posting on Twitter that he, quote, repudiates Lula's accusations against him. He flew to Florida 48 hours before the end of his mandate and was absent from Lula's inauguration. The invasions were condemned by leaders around the world, including US President Joe Biden, who called the events an assault on democracy and on the peaceful transfer of power.
Let's take a break. On the other side, our good news today's story. It comes from Udhampur in Jammu. Back in a moment.
You're watching an India Today special broadcast being brought to you from the stunning ski resort of Clusters, Davos.
The 53rd World Economic Forum is back at the snow-clad slopes of Davos. The smartest minds gather to debate the world's biggest challenges: energy crisis, industry headwinds, geopolitical risks, social vulnerabilities. India Today and Business Today are at ground zero to bring you all the action. Catch top corporate tycoons, politicians and intellectuals as they discuss cooperation in a fragmented world. Watch the Davos brainstorm only on India Today and Business Today TV.
Welcome back. Tonight's Get Real India story comes from Rajasthan, where we are seeing bulldozer justice once again. This time, bulldozers moving in early this morning in Jaipur to raise a coaching center allegedly linked to the massive leak of a teacher's recruitment exam paper last year. The Ashok Gehlot government seems to have replicated now what it once criticized the Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh counterparts for, using bulldozers against those accused. The coaching center has been reduced to rubble. Take a look.
Bulldozer justice in a Congress-ruled state. The Ashok Gehlot government's big crackdown after a big paper leak in Rajasthan. The demolition machine rolling on the streets of the Congress-ruled state. The coaching center run by the alleged mastermind behind the second-grade teacher recruitment examination paper leak case is demolished.
In this paper leak case, Suresh Dhaka, the owner of this building, which is being demolished, not the owner, but he's running this coaching center. He was given a notice 2 days ago, but after a no reply by the owners of the building and by Suresh Dhaka, JDI took this step and is demolishing the building.
The Jaipur Development Authority officials arrived with JCBs to demolish the 5-storied building, claiming it's been built illegally and did so in about 3 hours.
हमने पूरी तरह से विधि सम्मत कार्रवाई करते हुए आज इस पूरी जो अवैध बिल्डिंग थी उसको ध्वस्त किया है.
The Congress, which has questioned similar bulldozer action in BJP-ruled states, bragged that it has acted against the corrupt. The BJP came down heavily on the grand old party, saying it was just a formality.
पेपर माफियाओं पर कार्रवाई की औपचारिकता मात्र पूरी कर रही है सरकार. पेपर माफिया सुरेश ढाका, भूपेंद्र, ये किसकी फेसबुक चला रहे थे, जरा उस पर ध्यान होता. और एक किराए के भवन को ढाकर ये नाखून कटा के शहादत में नाम लिखा रहे हैं.
डायलॉग बाजी करने से भला नहीं होता, काम करके दिखाना पड़ता है. काम कुछ किया नहीं, कार्रवाई कुछ की नहीं. हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं तो ये तो बीजेपी वाले तो खुद पेपर लीक के षड्यंत्र में शामिल है. तो ये जो फालतू की बातें करते हैं बड़ी बड़ी, तो ये कोई इनके पास कोई प्लान है तो बताए, वो प्लान हम लागू कर देंगे.
The two accused, Bhupendra Saran and Suresh Dhaka, who allegedly leaked the question papers, are absconding, and the Udaipur police has declared a bounty of 25,000 rupees against the two. With Jai Kishan in Jaipur, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn from there to our good news today story. It's an India Today magazine special. Artist Deepa Soni from J&K's Udhampur has portrayed positive, peaceful and fearless images of Kashmir. She says her objective is to inspire the younger generation to keep them connected with the folk art of the region. Here is the second story from the RPG Enterprises India Today Happiness Quest series. I leave you with that. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Kashmir, once known as the paradise on earth, for more than 3 decades in the news for terror and killings, Deepa Soni, an artist from Udhampur, uses her brush to remind us of all good things about Kashmir. She wants the youth of the valley to be aware of the centuries-old heritage of Kashmir. She shares a vision of a positive, peaceful and fearless Kashmir through her canvas.
I keep on trying different mediums. Like आप देखेंगे कि 3-dimensional काम मैं बहुत करती हूँ. कई बार मैं abstracts बहुत करती हूँ. कई बार मैं folk styles भी कर रही हूँ. Miniature के साथ में मेरा बहुत ही मुझे बहुत पसंद है miniature paintings करना, जो कि बसोली painting मुझे बहुत पसंद है.
Through her exquisite